everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the iRobot Roomba Combo Essential. iRobot did send me the sample, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's a look at the retail box and packaging. Everything looks great. Let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature. This does come with a 1-year warranty, and you'll notice we have our quick start guide right here walking us through some key tech specs, features, safety information, how to get everything set up. And then you'll see that that repeats in multiple languages. Next, we have our side cleaning brush. We have an extra mop pad right here. We have the main mop pad and module, followed by our power supply. Take a look at the power supply specs right there. Barrel connector. Here's a look at the charging station and home base with our charging contacts, iRobot logo and branding. Give you the side profile. See from the top and from the bottom we have 2 long grip feet. Additional product information right there. And you'll see on the back side, that's where we're going to plug in the power supply. Cable management channels on both sides. And we have some Velcro here to tidy up all the extra slack we might have with the cable there. So built-in cable management. And last but not least, we have the Roomba itself. Let's look at this in more detail. Looking at the Roomba from the top, you'll notice front and center the iRobot logo and branding, as well as 3 different control buttons. We got our return to home, our power and cleaning button, and our spot cleaning mode. Looking at the Roomba from the side, you'll notice we have a speaker right here. You'll probably hear it give an error message in a second with our navigational bumper right there. And we have sensors along the front.
13. See the app for help.
There's a look at the front. Here's a look at the other side.
See the app for help.
And here's a look at the back with our dustbin and water tank. Let's flip it over to the very bottom. You'll see our spring-loaded drive wheels, a spot for our side cleaning brush that we can just snap right in place like that. Omnidirectional wheel. We have our charging contacts, cliff sensors.
13.
You'll see that we have our main brush roller right here too. Take a look at that. We got our hybrid design. Got our rubber and bristle design and pattern on there. And that's easy to take out, maintain, clean, and detangle as needed. And now here's a bottom look at the dustbin and water tank. Here's a look at the tank removed, revealing a built-in multi-purpose cleaning tool. We can also open up the dustbin right here to easily empty and clean as needed. We have our filter that we can clean and replace as well. That's built right in. And then this blue lid right there we can open up. That's to fill and add water with the little water icon right there. Give you a look from all different sides. And then here's a look at the Roomba with it removed. Now the last thing we have to do is install the mop pad and module. Very simple and straightforward. It's only going to fit one way. Just gently press it in place. It's going to snap right in. Now it's time for us to go ahead and start cleaning. All right, we got our first clean out of the way. Let's go ahead and look at the results. So we're gonna pop off the dustbin right here, and we're gonna open it up to reveal, oh, sick, tons of hair, dirt, dust, and debris. So in my household, it's me, my wife, and 2 kids. So 2 adults, 2 kids, and 1 long-haired dog. This is just after 1 clean. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. But look at all that hair there. Tons of hair crammed in there. And then all the crumbs. I got a piece of dog food in there. So larger items, smaller items, and that really fine dust is great. It's not going to be exhausting that back out through the filter and the vacuum. It's trapping really fine dirt and dust particles, as well as the larger items you would find around your house. But look at all that hair, and then all the typical dirt, dust, debris, and crumbs right there in our dustbin. Flipping it over, I wanted to show you the mop pad. Just slight discoloration here, not bad at all. It's still very damp, and it looks new. So for that mop pad, just wash and rinse it off after every use if you want to keep it as fresh and clean as possible. Now looking at the underside of the vacuum on our side cleaning brush right here, we have 1 hair on there that we can pull out of the way. Typically you want to keep an eye on this. You will attract some hairs over time. And then the main brush roller already very hairy. So again, my wife has long hair, my 2 daughters have long hair, and my dog has long hair. So we already have a ton of hair collected on the main brush roller. I see some fibers and threads as well too from our shag rug and carpet. So we have quite the assortment here already on the brush. You definitely want to flip this over and maintain it periodically. Good news is they give us a multi-purpose cleaning and detangling tool. So we can just use this to cut away all of the tangles on it very easily. And then we just pull them off. So really nice tool. Again, just cuts through everything with that little blade on it. It already looks a lot better. But how amazing is that? All that hair vacuumed up, and we have additional hair that it's able to pick up there. And then along the sides, you might want to spend a little bit more time peeling those off too. Keep an eye on that again so you can get the best performance possible. You're going to want to keep that brush nice and clean. But that'll just snap right back in place once it's installed, just like that, and we're ready to start cleaning again. Now I wanted to show you the iRobot app specifically for the Roomba Combo Essential. So take a look at the main screen right here where we can see the image of our vacuum, its current status, how much battery we have left, our favorites section. So you can set some favorites if you want it to vacuum up, things along those lines. Schedule options here if you want to create a schedule. You can view your cleaning history and any messages right there. We're going to look at the history really quick. So there's our first clean. It actually does make a map per se, showing you around your house where it was able to clean, but we can't modify this map or anything like that, like some of the other smarter Roombas. But it will show you the areas around your house in map form that it was able to clean, and a breakdown of the clean right there. 525 square feet in 1 hour. Gives you a little perspective on what you can expect. And further down, we have our product health. This will give us a breakdown of the parts and components when it's time to conduct maintenance. We have our product settings. This is where we can learn more about our Roomba. We can locate it. We can change our cleaning preferences, so you definitely want to customize this. First up is our liquid amount. We have 3 different options, Eco, Standard, or Ultra. So it's great that we have the control right here within the app to adjust the liquid and water level. And then we also have our suction settings, low, medium, and high. So high is going to give us the best clean, deepest clean possible, but it will have to recharge more frequently. So pick and choose what works best for you. And then further down, we have our language options. We can reboot the Roomba, and then we can change and adjust our Wi-Fi settings. And even further down, we have our owner's guide if you need any help. We have a help section if you need to reach out to customer support. And there's an iRobot beta option here. So if there's any beta features for your vacuum, be sure to check back there and enable those if you want. So how does our iRobot Roomba Combo Essential stack up against the competition? We'll be looking at it from the brand's average within iRobot's Roomba product lineup, as well as the over 60 plus units that we've personally tested in the RoboVac and mop space. So the first metric we're going to look at is CFM. This is the max CFM we're able to record in-house. Typically, the higher the better usually equates to better real-world cleaning results and performance, like in our deep cleaning test. So for this particular unit, we got a score of 4.8. That's one of the highest we've ever got on a Roomba, regardless of where it fits in their lineup. You'll see that our typical Roomba average is a point less at 3.8. And it's still going to be a couple points less than the typical average RoboVac of 6.9. The good news here, though, with our deep cleaning test, CFM is a thing of the past. This is a real-world test where we embed coffee grounds into carpet and we measure the results before and after. So even with the lower CFM value, you'll see that our Roomba scored average for iRobot's lineup and above average from your typical RoboVac. So even though Roombas and iRobot products tend to score lower on CFM values that we measure in-house, they perform at their own expectation and standard and above average for your typical RoboVac. Next, let's talk about decibels. So the average decibel for RoboVac is 70 decibels. This came in at 71 decibels. The Roomba average for iRobot's lineup is going to be about 68. So it's a little bit louder than your typical Roomba. It's the same loudness, more or less, as your average RoboVac. And if you're listening to a 68 decibel vacuum versus a 70 or 71, there's not going to be any sort of noticeable difference in the room with you. Moving right along to battery life measured in minutes, 120-minute battery life for our Roomba Combo Essential. The brand average is about 15 minutes less at 105 minutes, and the overall average is 150 minutes, so about 30 minutes more than this vacuum. So one reason we see that we have slightly below average results for battery life is due to our battery capacity. This is measured in milliamp hours. This is a 2400 milliamp hour battery, which is actually 200 milliamps larger than your typical iRobot average, but you'll see it's about 1400 milliamp hours less than your average RoboVac, which is why your average RoboVac is going to run longer than this RoboVac. Moving right along to height, measured in inches, 3.2 inches for the height of this Roomba. The brand average is 3.5, and your typical average RoboVac is going to be 3.6. So it's a little bit on the shorter side, but well within your expected Roomba height, if that makes any sense. So if you've used a previous, like 600 or i-series device, this is going to be no different than those. Now, typically, you'll find that the average RoboVac is a little bit taller because a lot of those units that we've tested have LiDAR navigation, which basically has a module that sits up on top of the rest of the vacuum. So in this case, since it's not equipped with LiDAR, it's going to be a little bit shorter. So the added benefit is it might get under some of those pieces of furniture around your house that the other vacuum can't, but the compromise is that it's using an inferior style of navigation. Next, let's talk about bin capacity measured in milliliters. This has a 400 milliliter dust bin compared to the average Roomba of 400 milliliters, which is great. The overall average RoboVac has 420, so we're about 20 milliliters shy, but usually you find in that average, we have some units like this that don't self-empty. Those tend to have the larger 400, 500, 600 milliliter capacity dustbins, whereas when you have a unit that has self-empty, those tend to cost more money. It's a premium feature. They actually have a smaller dustbin because they can go back home and self-empty. Also want to note, if you're thinking about just the regular non-combo version of this, that one actually has a 600 milliliter dustbin capacity. This one's a little bit shorter because we had to make room for the water tank. Next, let's talk about water tank capacity, also measured in milliliters. This has a 275 milliliter water tank capacity. I'd say well within range for your typical Roomba that supports mopping. Typically, we find that average being skewed a little bit higher to 295 because that includes Brava Jets, which are just dedicated to mopping only and no vacuuming. The average across all RoboVac and mop combos that we've tested is 235 milliliters, so it's great to see that this water tank is on the larger side, but just like dustbin capacity, you tend to find shorter and lower capacity water tanks on premium models that support mop washing and refilling. whereas if you don't have those features, you tend to get a larger water tank. Last but not least, let's talk about cost. This will help us understand everything that we just looked at, and you'll see pretty quickly that this is a very budget-friendly product within iRobot's own lineup, as well as with your typical average RoboVac. And I would argue from all the data that we looked at, we were at or near the average, a little bit above or below, give or take. But you'll notice for a fraction of the cost. So hundreds of dollars less, but we're still getting really good performance with our Roomba Combo Essential. So where does that leave us? Let me share with you my final thoughts. I believe the writing's on the wall for the 600 series Roombas. I'm a big fan of those, and it's great to still see innovation at the more competitive entry-level price point. So I think the Roomba Combo Essential is a nice upgrade from the 600 series because you get that mopping functionality, and they didn't skimp on the mopping functionality. They actually give us app controls where we can adjust the water level, so that's huge. And we have suction level adjustments as well. In regards to cleaning performance, we did see a notable difference and improvement with the Roomba Combo Essential compared to the 600 series Roomba. So on all of those fronts, really a nice job here, and they're still keeping it competitive. I would argue you still pay a premium for iRobot products, but a lot of times it really rings true. You get what you pay for. I know what you're thinking. Hey, you're only talking about the positives. Well, what would you want to see improved or changed with this particular product? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So for this particular Roomba Combo Essential, I'd like to see a couple of things done differently. The biggest one for me is to have them dial back how aggressive it is on its driving. What do I mean by that? There's just certain objects or obstacles around my house, like let's say my desk leg. I have like a sit-stand desk that has long, narrow feet, and it wants to drive up on them. Typically, when it hits a bumper, your bumper will stop the vacuum from going any further. This one tends to just kind of like have a mind of its own and really is aggressive with how it's driving. For some of you out there, you might really appreciate that. Maybe you have an old RoboVac that gets stuck a lot. This one will get itself into trouble, but it might not get stuck on some of those things around your house like another RoboVac will. Also, on that regard, my child's crib sits pretty low on the floor, about the same height as the vacuum, and it was really forcing itself all the way under the crib until it made it about 3/4 of the way and got stuck. Again, usually when you make contact with the bumper, things like that, it's gonna stop and re-navigate and reassess its situation elsewhere. In this case, it just continued to power forward. So if they could dial that back, that would be great. And lastly, although it cleaned better, I still miss their old cleaning system. It had 2 brush rollers. One was basically your beater brush, a rubber brush, and one was like an agitator with bristles, and it was able to self-level. So I know we got better performance with this one, but I like that self-leveling option. If your floor isn't perfectly even, it was nice to know that it could compensate for it and give you that deeper clean, especially again on hard floors. So overall, for what it is, it's definitely an improvement cleaning-wise, and I would argue functionality-wise with the mop, suction levels, and water levels, but there are still some things I miss from the previous versions that didn't carry over.